It started with a phone call that never came. Julie sat by the window every morning, sipping her tea, waiting for the ring that used to brighten her day. Her daughter used to call daily. Her grandson, Ethan, used to FaceTime her after school just to show off his drawings. But lately, silence. No missed calls. No texts. Just the sound of the ticking clock and the distant hum of the neighborhood waking up without her. At first, she brushed it off, everyone's busy. Then she began to wonder, had she done something wrong? Was she being forgotten? Or had she slowly become someone people didn't want to be around anymore? Here's a question that most people never think to ask. Is it possible that certain habits, picked up unconsciously with age, are quietly pushing people away? The answer, though uncomfortable, is yes. And the worst part? It often happens without us even realizing it. We associate aging with physical changes, aches, slower movements, maybe a few more doctor visits. But few talk about the behavioral shifts that sneak in quietly and change the way people relate to us. Habits that begin innocently, but over time, create walls instead of bridges. Habits that, if left unchecked, can make growing older lonelier, more frustrating, and heartbreakingly silent. Now here's the twist. No one talks about these habits. Not at family dinners, not at church, not even at community centers, and definitely not on the news. Aging is treated like a topic of either fear or invisibility. We talk about retirement plans and health screenings, but we never warn people about the emotional traps that can sabotage their relationships as the years go by. Julie had no idea she was falling into them until it was almost too late. Let me take you back. She was once the vibrant heart of her block, always baking something, always laughing. Her porch was the unofficial town square. Neighbors would swing by just to chat. But over time, her voice changed. Conversations became rants. Smiles turned into sighs. And gradually, that porch became just another quiet place collecting dust. It wasn't that people stopped loving Julie. It's that being around her became emotionally heavy, and no one knew how to say it. So they drifted. Now, what if you're thinking, this isn't me? I'm not like that. Maybe you're not. But here's the truth. Most people don't see it coming. These behaviors don't arrive with a loud bang. They slide in quietly, disguised as normal reactions to pain, disappointment, or simple fatigue. A little more complaining here. A bit of resistance to new things there. Before long, the world keeps spinning, and you're standing still. This video isn't here to shame anyone. It's not about blaming or pointing fingers. It's about awareness. About catching the drift before it becomes a distance. About recognizing patterns before they become regrets. Because aging doesn't have to mean losing connection. It doesn't have to mean becoming invisible. In fact, when you understand the real reasons people start drifting away and how to change them, you can rebuild relationships, reawaken purpose, and make these years some of the most fulfilling of your life. Julie's story, as you'll see, is filled with these hard truths, but also with hope. Because the truth is, every single one of the habits we're going to talk about is changeable. That's the good news. Once you see them, you can start shifting them. Once you understand what they do, you can reclaim the connections you thought were gone forever. And there's something else. Some of these habits, they're not what you think. In fact, number 7 on our list is the one that surprises everyone. And by the time most people realize it's affecting them, it's already caused deep loneliness. So stick with me. Because if you've ever wondered why people don't visit as much, why your phone doesn't ring like it used to, why your words seem to echo in an empty room, this might be the video that changes that. Right now, as we speak, there are millions of older adults who feel isolated, not because they aren't loved, but because the habits they've developed are keeping people at a distance. Habits no one warned them about. Habits that started as self-protection, but turned into social separation. But you don't have to be one of them. Because today, we're going to name those habits. We're going to see them clearly. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how to gently undo them, so you can reconnect with the people who matter most and rediscover the joy of being seen, heard, and loved. So before we dive in, let me ask you, are you ready to find out if any of these habits are quietly shaping your relationships? Let's begin. Because aging might be inevitable, but loneliness isn't. Let's start with the first habit that quietly creates distance, becoming overly negative or critical. Julie never saw herself as a negative person. In fact, for most of her life, she was known for her warm humor and positive energy. But something began to shift after she turned 70. It started small, just a few complaints about her aching knees or how expensive groceries had become. Then it became more frequent. Mornings began with sighs. Conversations with neighbors turned into rants. Even joyful news, like her grandson getting a new job, was met with, "Well, let's see how long that lasts." And she's not alone. A 2021 study published by the National Institute on Aging found that emotional outlook tends to become more rigid with age, especially for those facing health issues or changes in routine. As people grow older, their worlds often become smaller, social circles shrink, mobility decreases, and health concerns increase. It's natural to feel frustration. But when that frustration becomes the dominant tone of conversation, it starts to have consequences. Julie didn't notice the shift at first, but others did. Her daughter began shortening their calls. Neighbors waved from a distance instead of stopping by. And her weekly book club, something she once looked forward to, started to feel like a chore because her comments were often met with silence. The truth is, even if complaints are valid, they can make conversations emotionally draining. People want to feel uplifted, understood, and connected. If every interaction feels heavy, over time, they start to pull away, not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. According to a 2022 survey by AARP, 62% of adults over 65 reported feeling lonely at least once a week. When researchers dug deeper, they discovered a pattern. Many of these individuals had fallen into habits of chronic complaining, not realizing it was contributing to their isolation. What's even more surprising, most of them believed they were simply being honest or telling it like it is. Julie saw her behavior as harmless venting. She didn't realize that beginning every call with a complaint made her loved ones feel helpless, or that her constant comparisons, "Things were better in my day," invalidated their experiences. It wasn't until her granddaughter stopped visiting without explanation that Julie finally asked, "Is something wrong?" The answer, though hard to hear, opened her eyes. Her granddaughter said gently, "Grandma, I love you, but it's hard to be around you when everything feels negative." So, what can be done? It starts with awareness. Noticing the tone of your conversations. Do you begin with a smile or a sigh? Do your words uplift or deflate the room? Once you recognize the habit, you can begin to shift it. Here's how. 1. Begin with gratitude. Instead of starting with what's wrong, start with what's right. Even something small, "The sun is out today," or "I slept a little better last night," can set a different emotional tone. Gratitude has been shown to improve not just mood, but social connection. A Harvard Health study in 2020 revealed that people who practice daily gratitude are 27% more likely to be socially active and have stronger relationships. 2. Limit the venting. Of course, you're allowed to express frustration, but give it a time limit. Set a mental timer, 2 minutes to share what's bothering you, then move on. This prevents conversations from being dominated by complaints and allows space for joy, curiosity, and support. 3. Practice curiosity. Instead of judging new trends or choices, ask questions. Julie learned this the hard way. When her grandson mentioned a new video game, she almost said, "Kids waste so much time on that." But instead, she tried, "Tell me about it. What do you like about the game?" His eyes lit up. He opened up. That moment, small as it was, started to repair their connection. 4. Flip the narrative. When something goes wrong, ask yourself, what's the upside? Julie used to grumble about her arthritis keeping her from long walks. Then she reframed it. "I've started enjoying short walks around the garden instead." It wasn't denial. It was a choice to lead with hope. Julie's transformation didn't happen overnight. But little by little, as she started replacing negativity with warmth, the changes were undeniable. Her daughter called more often. Her neighbors began stopping by again. Even her mood improved. By changing her approach, Julie didn't just save her relationships, she saved her joy. Here's the takeaway. Being real doesn't mean being negative. You can be honest and hopeful at the same time. Negativity might feel like truth, but optimism is strength. It takes courage to lead with light when life feels dark. But doing so invites others in instead of pushing them away. Think about the last conversation you had with someone close. Did you leave them feeling lighter or heavier? Let's not let frustration be the loudest voice in the room. Let positivity speak first, because it just might be the thing that brings people back. Now let's talk about the second hidden habit that often goes unnoticed but drastically affects how others perceive us as we age: neglecting personal hygiene and appearance. In her younger years, Julie was known for her vibrant presence. Her outfits were always full of color. Her perfume left a trail of warmth wherever she went, and she never left the house without her lipstick. People remembered her for her elegance and energy. But as time passed, those routines began to fade. Not all at once, just gradually. She stopped styling her hair because her arms felt too tired to hold the brush up for long. She traded her favorite clothes for baggy, more practical options. Eventually, she didn't even glance in the mirror most days. And here's the important part. Julie didn't neglect herself because she didn't care anymore. Quite the opposite, she believed it didn't matter. Why dress up? Who am I trying to impress? She'd say to herself. But something subtle happened when those small decisions accumulated. Her self-image began to shift. And so did the way people treated her. Psychologists call this the appearance identity feedback loop. It refers to how the way we present ourselves influences how others perceive us, and in turn, how we perceive ourselves. A 2019 study published in the Journals of Gerontology found that seniors who maintain consistent grooming habits report significantly higher levels of self-esteem, social engagement, and even cognitive performance. In other words, when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you engage with life more confidently. Julie started noticing that strangers no longer smiled at her the way they used to. Her neighbors, who once complimented her cheerful blouses, now barely acknowledged her in passing. Something had changed. And though it felt superficial at first, it cut deeper than she expected. She felt invisible. But here's the thing. This isn't about vanity. It's about presence. Taking care of how we look isn't just about impressing others. It's about honoring ourselves. It's a form of self-respect. And when you show up for yourself, the world shows up for you too. So how do you reverse this downward spiral? Step 1. Rediscover small rituals that make you feel good. You don't need to dress like you're attending a gala. But slipping on a clean shirt you love, brushing your hair, or putting on your favorite earrings can immediately elevate your mood. These tiny habits send signals to your brain. I'm here. I matter. Step 2. Prioritize cleanliness and care. It sounds obvious, but it's easy to let go of basic grooming when energy levels drop. Yet, showering regularly, keeping your nails trimmed, moisturizing your skin, these are more than hygiene. They are mental refreshers. Studies have shown that routine grooming activates the same neural pathways involved in reward and satisfaction. You feel more grounded, more ready to face the world. Step 3. Choose colors and textures that energize you. Soft fabrics, cheerful tones, or even a favorite pattern can trigger positive emotions. Julie, for instance, started wearing a bright scarf her granddaughter had given her. It wasn't just fabric, it was a memory, a connection, and a boost of confidence every time she tied it around her neck. Step 4. Reframe your why. Instead of asking, "Why should I bother?" ask, "What does it do for me?" Julie began to notice that when she made a little effort, her reflection smiled back. That smile was enough. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about feeling alive. And the results came quickly. When she started brushing her hair again and wearing her favorite perfume, something shifted. Strangers smiled again. Her daughter hugged her a little tighter. She felt more present in her own life. That's the power of self-presentation. It creates openings for connection. One of the biggest myths about aging is that you disappear. But most people don't disappear, they slowly fade themselves out by neglecting the things that once made them feel vibrant. And when you stop showing up for yourself, it gets harder for others to show up for you too. So let this be your reminder. Putting on a fresh shirt, combing your hair, and adding a touch of care isn't a chore. It's a way of saying, I'm still here. And the world needs to see you. The real you. The you that feels light, alive, and confident. If you're watching this and wondering whether it's too late to start again, it's not. The mirror is still there. The colors are still waiting. And that spark you once had? It's still inside you. All it needs is a little polish to shine again. Now ask yourself this. What's one small act of self-care you can do today? Not for anyone else, but just for you? Tell us in the comments. Because sometimes, the smallest step can be the beginning of the biggest transformation. Julie's home had always been her sanctuary. Filled with warm lighting, framed photos, and vintage furniture, it told the story of a well-lived life. But over the years, that sanctuary had slowly begun to feel more like a storage unit. Shelves overflowed with keepsakes, closets were crammed with unworn clothes, and entire corners were blocked by boxes labeled, just in case. What started as nostalgia turned into overwhelm. Julie wasn't just surrounded by memories, she was buried beneath them. This is a quiet trap many older adults fall into. The inability to let go of possessions that represent the past. And it's understandable. Every item feels like a piece of your identity, a marker of time, love, or effort. But when objects begin to limit your ability to live comfortably in the present, they're no longer preserving your history. They're stealing your space, energy, and peace of mind. According to a 2021 study published in the Journal of Aging Studies, over 65% of individuals over the age of 65 admit to having difficulty discarding possessions, even when they know those items are no longer useful. Researchers found a strong link between emotional attachment to objects and increased stress levels, anxiety, and even mobility issues in cluttered environments. And it's not just psychological, there are very real physical consequences to hoarding. Julie experienced this firsthand. One afternoon, while trying to reach a box of old holiday decorations from the top shelf, she slipped on a pile of magazines and injured her wrist. The doctor's visit was a wake-up call, not just about safety, but about what she was truly prioritizing. She had spent years holding on to things she never touched, never needed, and in many cases, barely remembered owning. Meanwhile, she hadn't invited a friend over in months. She was too embarrassed by the mess. Clutter doesn't just fill rooms, it creates invisible walls between us and the people we love. When we feel ashamed of our living space, we isolate. When we feel overwhelmed by our belongings, we stop engaging with life. And sometimes, we use stuff to fill emotional voids, replacing connection with consumption. But there's hope, and it starts small. The first step is reframing the act of letting go. Instead of thinking of it as losing memories, think of it as making space for new ones. Ask yourself, when was the last time I used this? Does it bring me joy today, or just guilt for not using it? These simple questions can guide your decision-making without pressure or shame. Start with something easy. One drawer, one shelf, one category like old shoes or expired cosmetics. Celebrate small wins, and don't try to tackle the entire house at once. Momentum builds naturally when you start seeing results. Make it personal. Some items may hold sentimental value, and that's okay. But not everything meaningful needs to stay in physical form. Consider taking photos of mementos and creating a digital memory book. That way, the memory is preserved, but the item doesn't take up physical space. Another helpful technique is the one in, one out rule. For every new item you bring into your home, whether it's a new piece of clothing or a kitchen gadget, let go of something else. This helps prevent future buildup and keeps your space feeling balanced. For those overwhelmed by the emotional weight of decluttering, involving family can be both helpful and healing. Julie's daughter offered to help her sort through boxes every Sunday afternoon. As they sifted through old birthday cards and childhood crafts, they laughed, cried, and reconnected. Some items were donated. Others were passed on. The process wasn't just about tidying up. It became a form of storytelling, a shared journey through Julie's life. Safety is another powerful motivator. According to the National Institute on Aging, falls are the leading cause of injury among older adults, and cluttered environments significantly increase the risk. Keeping walkways clear and minimizing floor obstacles isn't just about aesthetics, it's a matter of health and independence. And finally, there's the emotional reward. After clearing out just one room, Julie felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She described it as breathing easier, sleeping better, and feeling more in control. Her home felt brighter, and so did her mood. She even hosted a book club again, something she hadn't done in years. The goal isn't minimalism, it's intentional living. Your home should reflect who you are today, not just who you were decades ago. When we let go of excess, we make room for joy, clarity, and connection. So, what's one thing in your home you know you could let go of today? A box in the garage? A drawer in the kitchen? A shelf in the closet? Share your answer in the comments, and let's support each other in choosing presence over the past. Because the truth is, our best years don't have to be behind us, but can still be created, one clear space at a time. Not long ago, Julie stood outside her local grocery store, struggling to lift a heavy bag into the trunk of her car. A young man walking by noticed her and kindly offered, "Would you like a hand with that?" Julie hesitated, forced a polite smile, and replied, "No, thank you. I've got it." But the truth was she didn't. Her back was aching, her arms were trembling, and she could barely lift the bag. That night, lying in bed with a heating pad pressed to her side, a quiet realization crept in. She wasn't doing herself any favors by always saying no to help. In fact, she was doing something far worse. She was isolating herself. This silent pattern is surprisingly common, especially among older adults. The habit of turning down assistance, even when it's clearly needed, is often rooted in pride, fear of being a burden, or a desire to maintain independence. But what starts as a display of strength can quickly become a wall that keeps others out. It's one of the most overlooked reasons why aging can feel lonely, not because people stop caring, but because they're quietly pushed away. According to a 2020 report by the National Poll on Healthy Aging, Nearly 50% of older adults admitted that they resist asking for help with daily tasks, even when it would make life easier. Even more revealing, many of them expressed a fear of being seen as weak, needy, or dependent. But here's the surprising truth. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a gateway to connection, collaboration, and even healing. Julie had always been fiercely self-reliant. She raised her kids on her own, paid off her mortgage, and prided herself on not needing handouts. So when age began to slow her down, she clung harder to that identity. She turned down offers to carry groceries, rejected invitations that might require help getting around, and declined emotional support, believing she had to handle it herself. What she didn't realize was that every no was also saying something else. I don't need you. I'm fine without you. I can do this alone. And eventually, people started believing her. The reality is, when you always act like you're okay, even when you're not, people will stop asking. Friends may hesitate to reach out. Family members, unsure how to help, might pull back. Over time, this creates a loop of loneliness. You feel forgotten, but unintentionally, you created that distance by never allowing others to come close. But the beauty of this situation is that it can be reversed. It starts by redefining what it means to accept help. Think of it not as weakness, but as generosity. When you let someone help you, you're offering them a gift, the opportunity to be useful, to connect, to show love. Everyone wants to feel needed. You've probably spent decades helping others. Letting someone return the favor is not only fair, it's healing. The shift begins with small choices. Next time someone offers to help carry a bag, say, "Yes, I'd appreciate that." If a neighbor offers to bring over dinner, accept it without guilt. If you're struggling emotionally, don't hesitate to tell a friend, "I've had a rough day. Can we talk for a few minutes?" These simple, vulnerable moments create space for others to show up and for you to be seen. Psychologists call this allowing connection, and it's a crucial part of emotional health. Studies have shown that seniors who engage in mutual aid, offering and receiving support, report higher levels of life satisfaction, lower rates of depression, and better cognitive resilience. It's not just about getting help. It's about fostering relationships that are rooted in trust and care. Julie's turning point came one afternoon when she finally said yes. The same young man from the grocery store recognized her struggling again and offered to help. This time, she smiled and said, "Actually, that would be lovely. Thank you." They chatted briefly as he loaded her bags, and she walked away not only relieved physically, but uplifted emotionally. That brief encounter reminded her, people still cared. She just had to let them in. Rebuilding this habit of connection doesn't require grand gestures. You don't need to open your life to everyone. Start with one trusted person. Share something small. Ask for help with something simple. Over time, these tiny acts of vulnerability build bridges. And remember, letting people in doesn't mean you're giving up your independence. In fact, it strengthens it. By accepting support, you're conserving energy, reducing stress, and creating a stronger foundation for yourself. Independence isn't about doing everything alone. It's about making empowered choices that keep you safe, fulfilled, and connected. So ask yourself today, when was the last time you let someone help you? When was the last time you reached out, not because you couldn't manage, but because you wanted someone by your side? We often think strength means standing alone, but true strength? It's found in knowing when to reach out a hand and when to accept one reaching back. Let us know in the comments, what's one way you've learned to accept help in your life? Your story could be the very thing that encourages someone else to open up and reconnect. Julie never set out to lose her connections. Like many, she didn't wake up one morning and decide to feel lonely, unseen, or misunderstood. It happened quietly, through small habits she thought were harmless, a dismissive comment here, a complaint there, a refusal to try something new, or an unwillingness to ask for help. These choices, repeated over time, slowly created distance. And the truth is, she's not alone. Millions of older adults experience this same pattern, often without realizing how much of it is within their control. Aging doesn't have to mean isolation. It doesn't have to mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean watching the world move on without you. What Julie discovered, and what you might be realizing too, is that the way we age is shaped more by our mindset and behaviors than by the number on our birth certificate. One habit shifted can create a ripple that changes everything. A smile instead of a complaint. A question instead of a correction. A yes to help instead of pushing people away. These aren't just minor tweaks. They're the foundation of staying connected, respected, and fulfilled in later life. Maybe you recognized yourself in some of Julie's story. Maybe you've caught yourself becoming more impatient lately, or choosing comfort over connection, or believing it's too late to change. But here's the truth. It's not too late. It's never too late to rebuild, to reconnect, to re-engage. And the best part? You don't have to overhaul your life. Start small. Speak with kindness. Dress with care. Be open to new ideas, even when they seem foreign. Say yes when someone offers a hand. Listen more. Laugh freely. Forgive often. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to live with intention. Every interaction, every decision, every word can either build a bridge or burn one. You have the power to decide. And when you choose to show up fully, even in your weakness, you remind others and yourself that your story still matters, that you are still growing, that you still have something meaningful to give. Julie didn't need a grand gesture or a life overhaul. All she needed was the courage to be honest with herself and the humility to take the first step. And once she did, everything started to shift. Her daughter called more often. Neighbors stopped by again. Even her own reflection in the mirror seemed brighter. Because when you change the way you engage with the world starts responding differently to you. So now it's your turn. Which habit stood out to you the most? Which small change can you start today, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now? Maybe it's reaching out to a loved one you've distanced yourself from. Maybe it's saying yes to help instead of brushing it off. Or maybe it's as simple as choosing gratitude instead of criticism in your next conversation. Remember, aging is a journey, but how you travel it is entirely up to you. It can be a path of connection, warmth, growth, and joy if you choose to make it so. And if this video resonated with you, if Julie's story reminded you of someone you love, or even yourself, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below sharing one habit you've decided to change or something that helped you reconnect with the people around you. Before you go, take a moment to like this video. It helps us reach more people who may need this message. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because we're just getting started. More life-changing stories and insights are coming your way. And finally, if there's someone in your life who needs to hear this today, share this video with them. You might be giving them more than advice. You might be giving them hope. Aging doesn't mean fading. It means evolving. And every step forward starts with a choice. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.